This is the best and most exciting video you will ever watch on this channel. It's about tax. Believe it or not, there are several different types of tax when going through a property purchase and exit, and I'll break every single one down that you are likely to come across. First of all, when you buy it, which is stamp duty. Now, I'm sure you're with me on this. I'm not a massive fan of tax, and I don't mean not talking about it. If you understand it, you can mitigate it, but I'm not really a fan of paying it over and over and over again. So stamp duty, land tax, or SDLT, is all about a tax that you are paying as the buyer or investor in the property, and it's a tax on the property that you're purchasing, usually as a percentage. So in everyday terms, anything up to £250,000, you are not going to pay any tax. Bear with me. You're not going to pay any stamp duty. Everything between 250 and, you know, the upside of, I think it's 675k, might be 650, you are going to pay 5% tax. So for example, if you've got a £290,000 property, the first 250, and this is important with stamp duty, it's like income tax, but it's a sliding scale. So you're going to pay 0 on that, and then you've got 40,000, which if you add those two together, you're going to pay 5% tax, which is £2,000. Now that is only if you are a buyer, if you and you're going to live in it, a homeowner. If you're doing a first-time buyer, you've got more benefits, but as an investor, everything that I just went through, because the government does not like private investors all that much in your personal name especially, plus 3%. So this starts at 40,000 if it's below 40 grand, which, believe it or not, there are still properties in the UK below 40 grand, but you are still going to pay 3% surcharge. So for example, if you are paying, buying a £100,000 property, congratulations, you are going to pay 0 if you're going to live with it, or you are going to pay 3%, which is £3,000 on there. Now, worth noting with stamp duty, if you are an international investor, i.e. not from the UK, you're actually going to pay another surcharge. I'm so sorry, it wasn't me. All right, in most locations, you're going to pay an additional 2% stamp duty, so another £2,000. Not me, the government. All right. So really annoying. Now, good news is there are stamp duty exemptions that you can apply. Obviously, talk to a specialist about this, but there are exemptions available. Now, one final thing is there's no VAT. If you don't know what VAT is, it's value added tax. Possibly the most ridiculous one. If you add value through service and you hit a certain threshold, you now need to charge another 20% to your clients. But the government, in their good hearts, decided not to tax you on their tax that they are taxing you. Thank you. Talking about VAT, you're then owning the property and you've got to do the refurbishment. And when it comes to your refurb, you are going to pay VA and the T on that value added tax in your materials. So you go to B&Q, you go to Wix, you go to Howdens, everything you are buying is going to have a 20% tax on top of it. And of course, I've just thought of another one for you guys as well. You'll love that one. And of course, your labor. So your labor, now this will depend on your builder, your painter, whatever. If they're earning less than, I think it's 85 grand right now, then they don't need to charge VAT. If they're above that on a yearly or annual basis, they will have to charge you VAT. So everything again is going to be plus 20%. Yay! Just thought about this though. There are some exemptions. So for example, if you're doing a commercial, good news is it's actually 5% VAT because there's certain exemptions on there, which is nice. Don't get too excited though. So including with HMO conversions, if you've got proper rooms like studios where it's self-contained within the property, you can do that. However, it's a proper office, for example, I'm really sorry to say this, you're also going to pay VAT on the purchase. What? But again, exemptions, 5%. Still a bit of a bitch though, right? So even refurbishing the property, you are then going to be paying VAT. Don't blame your builders, by the way. They get none of it. Go straight to the tax man. Now that you own it, you are going to pay at least one of these, if not both of them. So the first one, the better one to be paying, is income tax. Income tax is going to depend on if you are purchasing the property in your personal name, that is a human being there, or you are buying it in a limited company. Now, there are pros and cons of buying it in a limited and as an individual. Income tax, corporation and dividend tax, but I've actually done a video on that and I'll put a link in the description so you can watch that one after. Now, income tax is obviously a tax on the rentals that you're getting in, which is great because it's a tax on profit. And when you are doing any sort of refurbishment enhancing the property, you can actually claim that back against your income tax as well, which is good to know because you can do that up front if you're enhancing what's already there, so you can earn X amount of profit for however long and not pay any tax on it. However, running the property, if it's empty, well, I mean, there's always this, but you need to pay the council tax. Now, the reason I mention that is a lot of people forget it. If you've got a vacant property for 6 months, you're paying the council tax. Some local councils do an exemption for 6 months or whatever it is. And some councils will do an empty property tax and charge you double council tax. Again, thank you, government. Really appreciate the motivation to get it tenanted as quickly as possible. So you go through all this, you think, no, let's just get rid of the property. Let's get rid. No tax there, surely, right? Yeah, there is. If it's in your personal name, you've got CGT, capital gains tax. And capital gains tax is anything that you have had a capital gain on what you invested. So for example, it's not if you invested 50 grand, you got 50 grand back, you pay tax. You don't do that. But if you put in 50 grand and you sold it and you made 20 grand profit, you're going to be paying a tax on that. Now, at the moment, there is a capital gains allowance, okay? So I'm not going to say what it is because it changes all the time and is about to change again, but you could check it on the government website. The first, whatever it is right now, let's say 18 grand, at one point it was, that you don't pay any tax in the tax year on that. Everything above, currently you will pay 18% capital gains if you are a 20% income tax earner. And if you are unfortunate enough to be earning more money and paying 40% on your tax, the government's going to sting you again and charge you 38% on your capital gains. Crazy, right? Of course, if it's in a company, then you are going to be paying corporation tax in there. So you don't pay capital gains tax, but you are going to pay corporation, which is between, and will be between 19 and 25%, depending on how much profit you're making. Between 50,000 profit or less, it's going to be 19, all the way up to 250,000 profit on an annual basis, you're going to be paying 25% tax. And finally, you've paid all of your tax. You're there, rocking back and forth on your chair, contemplated what choices you made in life and why did the UK do this to you? What did you do to it? And you think, now's my time to leave. The government can leave me alone. Nope! Death. Do you know what? You've died and now you're going to pay for that too. All right? This is known as inheritance tax. Now, you do have a fairly large allowance on this, and then I think it's 45% on inheritance tax or 35%, but it is a huge portion of it. Now, you think, how much tax am I end up making? Well, if you actually work it out, just so you know, this isn't just property. This is like if you're a successful entrepreneur, if you're earning decent money, for every pound that you end up getting paid, or earning, should I say, you end up being left with around 21 pence. Hope you enjoyed that. No, I'm joking. So, sounds pretty doom and gloom, right? Well, yes, but the reason I love tax, I have a love-hate relationship. I hate paying it, and I love finding the loopholes. Now, there are a lot of legal loopholes to not be paying a lot of this stuff. For example, when you're buying the property and getting stamp duty. Not every property, but there are a lot of stamp duty exemptions, which unfortunately I won't be going through on this channel. It's far too complex and I could get in a lot of trouble if I get something slightly wrong. But there are stamp duty exemptions. Talk to a specialist. When it comes to refurbishments, if you're putting something new in, like a new kitchen, that's going to offset your capital gains tax. But if there's a kitchen in already and you are enhancing that kitchen, then whatever you're spending on that, you can actually claim back against your profits. So say out of your refurbishment, there's £10,000 of it, which was enhancing what's already there, then you can make £10,000 of profit and not pay any tax on that. Again, not financial advice, talk to an accountant. Income tax, if you do the right company structure, you can heavily mitigate tax for a long time. Capital gains, again, you can mitigate that. Corporation tax, you can live a lot of your life through a limited company. And of course, just don't die. Okay. Or outside of that, again, you can watch the video that I've put in the description. If you've got it in a limited company, you can mitigate, if not eliminate, inheritance tax. So is tax exciting? Hell no for most people, but actually, the more you research, the more you understand, the more loopholes there are that you can find. And it's not about how much money you're earning, it's about how much money you keep in your pocket. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe and the notification bell. I do videos every single week on property investing, mindset, and so much more. And if you did get value from this, make sure to tap that like button. It really takes you 2 seconds. Hit it now, and it really helps the channel out. And I'll see you in the next video.